Good to see everybody. And we're going to start out here with Tim Erickson.
Just a couple of items on the agenda for you guys today. First one is to award a bid for our Chippewa Park Bridge. Last Wednesday, we opened bids. I've got the summary of the bids in your packet. I do have the full abstract if you guys want to see that. But our low bidder was Corby Contracting, and they're out of Fergus Falls. Pretty good price on that project, $432,000. So with that, I'd make the recommendation that we award this to Corby.
Mr. Chair, I got
Yes.
how experienced are they in building bridges?
They do this a lot.
Okay.
And the reason that they're so low, he owns the equipment.
Okay. And this is complete.
Yes.
Well, I'll make a motion to award the bid to Corby Contracting County Incorporated for the Chippewa Bridge.
Thank you, Tim.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Shane. Any other questions? 1A, please.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next item that I have for you is to approve advertising for bids on SAP 021646012. So this is County 46 between South Broadway and the railroad tracks. This is the one that we're working with both the city, the ALP, ALASD is going to replace some utilities underneath, widen things out. We'll have a pretty good trail on the north side. If you guys approve, we'll be setting that bid opening for a Monday, April 14th, so that we could award those bids on the 15th. The only reason we're doing that on a Monday rather than a Friday or a Wednesday is because you guys don't have another meeting for 3 weeks, and we wouldn't be awarding this then until first week in May.
Board's wishes. So move. Thank you, Charlie.
Resolution.
Yeah. Is that a
No,
resolution?
No.
Next one.
No,
is-
next
okay.
That's the next one.
All right. Here we go. Charlie made the motion.
Okay,
I'll second it.
Thank you, Shane. Any other questions? 1A, please.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Big path on the north side.
Correct. We fit it all in.
Okay.
Gonna be tight.
It is tight, but we've got it fit in. Grade separated.
The trailer side. Thank you.
Lenny.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Next item that I have for you is a resolution to request a speed study. So at your last meeting, we discussed both the stop signs and along with that, doing a speed study for trying to get the speed limit reduced in 2 sections on CSA 46. What I have on the next page for you is that statute that kind of governs that. So that's where this always comes back through. And as much as I don't like to read word for word, but I will read that last sentence in that statute. Alteration of speed limits on streets and highways shall be made only upon authority of the commissioner, except as provided by law. And those laws, that's where they list certain very specific circumstances which our road does not meet. So that's why we would be doing what we'd be doing.
Board's wishes.
Make a motion to approve resolution 25-25,
Thank you, Charlie.
speed study.
I second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? 1A, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina.
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. So then kind of as a continuation of that discussion and as Brad's coming up before we jump into that one.
Okay.
One of the things that we had talked about at that last meeting was maybe purchasing some changeable message boards for when we go and make that 4-way stop. I do have quotes for all that. We talked about that a little bit this morning. I'm just kind of curious what the board's wishes are. Would you like me to order those? Which again, one of those units, $17,872, and we would probably be looking at 2. We can borrow one of these or 2 of these from MnDOT, but if they need it, they're going to pull it.
Well, how much notice they give you?
MnDOT, before
For
they pull
pulling
it?
it, for pulling it.
Probably a week.
Week? What you guys think?
I don't know, Mr. Chair, I feel that we probably should purchase because we're gonna be using them in other places. This isn't the only time we're gonna be using them.
It's probably not the only road work we're gonna do.
No.
And the nice thing is we got control then.
Yep, and the one good thing about the message boards is they're lit up at night. People can see them.
Yes.
Where you got barricades or signs, half the people never notice them. So,
All right.
And I agree with that. I agree.
Okay, that's part of that motion then, or we got to make another motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of two electronic signs.
Okay, thank you.
And I second that.
Any other questions? Lene, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, and thank you for that clarification. Brad, you want to tell them about the fishing piers?
Yeah, so the DNR, through the Get Out More funds that were approved, I think it was about a year or two ago, they have funding for outdoor projects. They approached us last year about fishing access sites in Douglas County. So we just listed off what we have access to in lakes. And they worked with the fisheries office out of Glenwood, and they came up with the 2 spots that they would potentially fund fishing piers for us. Lake Ida on Pilgrim Point on the north side there. And then they would also fund at Devil's Lake, so in Chippewa County Park, an extension to our current pier. So they'd put 20 more feet out and 20 feet over on the L on the end of it. And it would be for free if we would maintain ADA access at these sites. We have to create ADA access at that one as part of the bridge grant. So that fishing pier will be getting moved up to line up with the parking lot basically this spring. And then the one at Pilgrim Point, we have a path back partway to it. We'd be responsible for continuing that path back to the fishing pier.
An asphalt path.
Yep.
Yeah, so we can get it ADA.
Yep, and that would also create to the Vespers area that we preserved, it would create ADA access to that as well. The fishing pier would be set back from it, but it would be where we would have the path so near that we'd just continue it a few more feet and create the ADA access through and that was part of our original park plan, was to continue that path through there. So this is just doing what we have planned, but we'd be getting a fishing pier free of cost for the public to use.
So the one on Devil's Lake, is that going to be stationary right there at winter and summer? I mean,
Yeah,
it stays in.
We just detach it from shore so that it can move with the ice, but they
got it.
stay in, yep.
Right.
Both, the one at Pilgrim, if we would get that one, the fisheries office in Glenwood will help us. We have to move it off the point for the winter. So it'd move back to that bay straight to the west for the winter. And the fisheries office would bring the boats to tow it over there if we're there while we're pulling it up, and then we tow it over and drop the pipes, kind of like they do on Maple Lake. They set it in the bay so the ice movement wouldn't damage it, and then in the spring we'd go back with them and get it, we'd coordinate together.
Mr. Chair, I got a question for Brad. I see they're putting it on the north side of the point. Is that the good side for fishing, or should it be on the south side?
It's ridiculous. There's no fish. It's so busy that you're better off on the south corner, on the corner of the parking lot there. There's some reeds up there. At least you get some fish, because you're not gonna get it.
I think,
Swimming, broke out swimming, because
Yeah.
almost a few accidents last year with people.
okay, I think this particular fishing pier was going to be catch and release only. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm not promising anything. Yeah, so we went with the DNR, the fishery staff out there last fall, and what they're looking for was deep water access. So the end of this point where they have it positioned would be the nearest to deep water. So the end of the pier would be at 11 feet deep, and at 20 feet from the pier, which would be a pretty easy cast, it's 25 feet deep. So that's what they're looking for.
It's gonna be so busy, nobody will ever be able to even fish out there.
Well, I think you're thinking about June and July, but there's a lot of the other year that the fishing pier's in there that there's no swimming going on that they're looking at. So they're looking at, it's May till November, the fishing pier will be in.
Well, I know it's not that deep on the side.
Yeah, that was the concern, is that to get out to deep water on the south side, you'd have to have a 400-foot long fishing pier. Yeah, and they don't make those. So 100 feet is about the length of a fishing pier. 106 feet is the length. That's the longest that they make that can hold together, in a storm. So
So
Mr.
going
Chair.
back to
Oh,
that, sorry.
go ahead.
I was just following up. So the DNR decides where they're going, not, you don't have a say in it.
We have a say as far as where we can get access to, but they want it in a spot, that's why the fisheries department locates them. They don't want to put a fishing pier where there's no fish. So they want to locate them. If they're paying for it, they want to help locate it and have a say in it.
Fish go under docks, they like shade.
Yeah, when we were there in September, there was weed growth out there, so there's a weed line in the drop. You know, there's usually some fish there, so.
So will this pier stay in one piece over winter, or will they break it down?
Yeah, we'd move it as one piece.
You can move it as one
Yep.
piece.
Like the Brophy one that we do, it
Okay.
stays as, we detach it from shore, but it stays as one piece. And we have the equipment to lift the poles now, so it's, you know, at Brophy, it takes us about a morning to detach it and get it attached to shore.
Okay.
So we'd be responsible for doing that each year on these. The Chippewa one we're already doing, so I think because of the boat stuff, it'd probably take us half a day to get that one moved and placed each, you know, fall and spring.
So would this dock have railings on it?
Yep, they're
Yeah.
just like the Brophy one isn't a Mincor one. Typically, we'd buy Mincor, but when the Brophy one was purchased, there was that accident where the inmate killed the guard in Stillwater. If you remember, about 2017, and they closed Mincor's making of those fishing piers. So we bought from a different business, but the Mincor ones are the sturdiest of the fishing piers, and they're open again working, so that's where the DNR buys their fishing piers from. These will come from Mincor.
Okay.
Brad, this resolution is proposed that can it be separated with Chippewa and Lake Ida? I'm looking at Lake Ida, and I've lived around there for the last 30 years. In that place where they're talking about, it's not a real good place to put a fishing pier there on the north side. And so I agree with the young lady that do that. And so,
Yeah, you can if you can deny it if you guys want to. It's the board's wishes.
but this, what I'm asking is, can it be a lump sum or can it be separated project?
No, I mean, we have it in one resolution. It could be two resolutions if you want to. We put it up here in one just to make it easier for the, you know, to pass through. But yeah, it's the board's wishes. If you don't want to take the fishing pier for Lake Ida, you can deny it and take the one for Devils.
Mr. Chair, I just got one comment. Why wouldn't we take it if we don't have to pay for it?
Gosh, that's the only thing I'm thinking of. I mean,
That's what I'm thinking of. What happens after this is gone and all of a sudden somebody decides,
Yeah.
well, we should have put a fishing pier out there. It's too late.
Right, but can we put the fishing pier elsewhere on Lake Ida where it's benefit that people can enjoy fishing?
well, the north side, again, I don't fish Ida that much, but I just say the north side's got the drop off deep water on the north side. And I do think that we are lacking fishing piers in a county that has over 200 lakes. We don't have that many fishing piers, and I know there's a lot of times I go by Victoria there where I see the kids down fishing and a place to go fishing. So I hear your point that but at the same time there's two sides of the story when it comes to some place to take your kids fishing and let them go out on a dock where they have a chance of catching a fish. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword, but I hate to pass up an opportunity to let somebody else have that dock if it's there for us to have.
Yeah, they rank the projects by the fisheries area. So if we didn't take it, it'd go to somebody else in this region of Minnesota. We don't have another. If we had another project that scored high and I knew it was going to go to another one of ours, I'd put that option up there. But
Mr. Chair, I'll make one more comment. It's called fishing, it's not called catching. So it's part of learning life, how to fish and how to catch things, and it's a teachable moment, which is what I like about it as well.
And I agree, you know, that we need to provide something for the younger generation, but I think there's a better spot on Lake Ida that can be put on.
But we don't have another park like that on Lake Ida.
I know, does it have to be a park?
For this, it has to be a public entity that would maintain the fishing pier. Yeah, I mean, if there was another public piece of property that we could put it on, we'd certainly entertain that. But these are the reason it got put there is because that's the property we have to offer.
Yeah,
I guess I would
understand
add to that, not just maintain the fishing pier, but maintain the ADA access.
Well, I will make a motion for Resolution 2526, authorizing fishing pier agreement.
Thank you, Tim. I'll second it. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
No,
Meyer,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Hey, did you get your trailer? The new trailer?
Yes. You guys like it?
Good.
Good morning.
Morning, Dave.
So a number of items for your consideration this morning. The first will take licenses. We have a list of excavator landscaper licenses. We recommend approval of those listed in your packet.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the licenses that are listed.
and I second that.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes,
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
motion carries.
Very good. The next couple of items are from the Planning Advisory Commission meeting last week. So the first item is a conditional use permit to convert an existing commercial resort into a plan unit development. For those of you who are familiar with this resort, it is formerly the Tip Top Cove Resort on Lake Miltona. Been operated as Rusty Moose for probably the last 7 or 8 years. So the current owner is seeking to, and you've seen this happen before, they're seeking to plat out lots underneath of the existing cabins and to sell those cabins to individuals. The remaining common area will be maintained by an association, and it includes multiple septic systems that treat waste from the owner's home and the cabins that are on there. The home is a separate system from the cabin system. There's at least one well that supplies water to those cabins, and then there's the access drives. So Planning Commission considered this, and the township had no concerns or issues. So the Planning Commission recommended approval with a number of conditions that you have in your packet. I think it shows up as 7 conditions. And basically, as we have in the past, what these conditions do for the most part is to maintain the resort to be operated essentially as it has been. It will be seasonal. You can't live there year-round. We want to make sure that the structures do not get overly large on those lots, that even though they might replace cabins, they'll still be similar size structures on there, that we don't have increases in the impervious surface coverage that are significant, that we have some maintenance of the shoreline in a more natural condition, that we're limiting the docking and clustering it, and that they don't continue to do short-term rental, because then that would be operating it like it was a resort. So So those are what the conditions refer to, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
So Dave, basically that anybody that rents there, it'll be 30 days plus.
So, yes. So if someone were to buy one of the resort units and then want to rent it out, they'd have to rent it like a residential home.
So I mean, if they
30
rented
days.
it out 12 months out of the year, that'd be okay.
Right, or they could rent it for the summer for 3 months or a month at a time. But if you start to do short-term rental, then you're fall under our private vacation home rental licensing. And in order to do that, this whole property would have to come back and get a conditional use permit. And we would be essentially looking at them like they were a resort again, so.
Mr. Rush, I got a question. Are these rental units are gonna be built just on slab on grade? Are they gonna have like a crawl space or a basement?
So currently, the resort units are existing. So they are seeking to sell the cabins just as they are. There's a few of those cabins that I think probably have crawl spaces under them. There's a new cabin that's being constructed on the resort this summer prior to their conversion that's going to have a full basement under it. And that would be the same as the current owner's home, which is towards the back. That has a full basement.
Well, the reason I asked is to keep in mind, we just talked about the RV campground that's gonna be in Home City area and having a storm shelter of some sort. So I would be okay with a crawl space or basement for the emergency purposes of, in case if there's the event of a storm. So,
That is an excellent point. We did not restrict the construction that they couldn't have a crawl space or basement. But we did put in those conditions that, in terms of the height, so that if they were to put some of those cabins are single story with a basement or single story on a crawl space. If they did go up to put a second story, that it's more of a half story with dormers rather than being a full second story. And primarily the reason that Planning Commission recommended that restriction is to sort of maintain the aesthetics that are there right now, that we don't end up with two-story homes on that shoreline in that area where the resort is located, because it's, traditionally been one-level cabins.
Mr. Chair, how big is this property?
It's almost 4 acres, I believe. It's
4 acres?
for a resort that
And on the south side there, are we subdividing that for them?
no, when you say on the south side there, nothing is being subdivided from this property.
That one's already been separated?
The unit that you're talking about, the property that the owners own to the south of the
It's
resort?
not, you know what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure.
Well, the setback and so on and so forth, and side to side, and
Correct. So the owners of the resort also own the lot to the south of the resort. That lot is today not part of the operation of the resort.
well, there's a building on there,
Oh, yeah, there's a cabin there.
so this isn't part of it.
That lot is being held separately from this resort conversion. It's not included as part of the resort, and it won't go with the
I
resort.
know that whole side of the lake has been done in 50-foot lots.
And you
Or
can,
how, your zoning don't allow for that today.
you can see the remnants of those lots on that plat drawing.
I know that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know
sure
the
you're-
property pretty well.
I'm sure you do.
And I'm just questioning if you're not asking for some more excitement down the road because of that.
Well, the interesting part of this conversion, most of the ones in the last 5 years that we've dealt with, from Valhalla Villas to Windjammer, you're talking about less than an acre. I mean, Windjammer is a little larger, but this property is almost, and I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think
No,
it's
but
almost
there's
4
not-
acres.
It's not 5 cabins either.
Correct.
Like Valhalla, I know what you know,
Right, but if you think about the ratio, you've got 10 cabins on almost 4 acres, and like Valhalla has 5 cabins on a half acre.
yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, from a
Little bigger.
density and impervious standpoint, the density on this resort actually, for once, meets the commercial density requirements of our ordinance. It's not over-dense,
And it is.
and so it
And the
meets it
runoff
with
in-
10.
Impervious too?
The impervious overall is less than 25%. In the first tier, it's 31 or 32, which they're allowed to do on a general development lake. But the overall is under 25%.
It is.
So it really, in terms of the ones that we've converted, this one greatly meets our current
And
standards.
you're not afraid of it.
No, not
Okay.
at all.
All right. This is, I mean, I know we inherited this, but I mean, that's,
This one's been relatively easy in that regard from your line of thought, that we're not sitting here trying to figure out what we're doing with a property
there was
that's
a
way
time this thing
overbuilt.
was connected all the way to 29.
Yeah,
So, I mean, I knew the people that had that too, so,
yeah,
all of it together. So there, I mean, this has been quite a piece of property, to be honest.
absolutely. And we
Lake
were,
Shore.
we're hopeful that as it changes ownership, that there's some thought to maintaining the aesthetic of what it is out there. I mean, this has been a resort since the 1920s.
That's been, remember the old, that was before the barn, it was the barn up
Yeah.
north. Tip top. Yep.
Been there
You
many
lived there,
times.
you know, I remember that. And that one there, he grew up next to it.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the conditional use permit for Rusty Moose Resort to convert.
Thank you, Shane.
I second it.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Helena,
Yes.
motion carries.
So as typically follows with these, if you're gonna sell the property, you have to plat out plat out the plan unit development, the lots. So that's the next application. So Planning Commission looked at that, recommended approval with the 4 conditions, and the conditions really try to ensure that we're gonna have entities that will maintain the septic systems, the water supply, and the open space, and that they create that association to do that. So,
Chair, make a motion to approve.
Okay, we got the motion and a second.
I'll second it.
Lene?
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yep.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Helena,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
motion carries.
thank you. So the next several items relate to our aquatic invasive species prevention program, and typically Justin Swart, my staff person who really operates this program for the county, is here to present to you, but he is happily on vacation with his family, so he's asked me to fill in. The first items that I'd like to go through with you is just a little summary of our activities in 2024, and I won't spend too much time because it's included in your packet. And in the fall, we always provide an update of our activities to the AIS task force that the county has that helps guide how our program is planned and operated. But if you look through the bullet points there, we have basically 4 different areas of our program. The first being education and outreach, that we're trying to get information out to the public on AIS prevention, and we do that through different programs. We reach out to schools. We help support the Youth Outdoor Day that takes place in Douglas County. We also promote through signage and different promotional items that are handed out at public boat accesses, and pamphlets that are printed and provided to lake associations and get distributed to resorts and guests and vacation rentals through Explore Alexandria. So I think a couple of them you're familiar with. We do produce a recreational map. We've been doing it for a number of years. It's one of the more popular items that we provide to Explore Alexandria. And it's a large color map that shows all the different recreational opportunities in Douglas County, but also calls out our lakes and infestations and how people can take action to prevent the spread of AIS. Our monitoring projects, we've been involved in several monitoring projects throughout the years because we do rely on lake property owners to report to us when they find invasive species in a lake. But we have a lot of lakes out there that we don't have as many people that are active on those lakes. So we put out settlement plates to look for zebra mussels, and we train volunteers during the Starry Trek to go out and look for starry stonewort. We've been doing aquatic plant surveys about 3 or 4 years ago, if you recall. We engaged in, hired a consultant to go out and do meander surveys on about 42 lakes in the county, doing 12 or so of them a year, and we've continued to do that work. And then, of course, last year, with the discovery of signal crayfish, we wanted to ensure that we weren't seeing continued infestation of those. So we're still working in cooperation with the University of Minnesota and the Department of Natural Resources on that activity. And then in the last probably 5 years, we've been more involved in the management of invasive species, and we do that through grant funding that's available to lake associations to do aquatic plant management. 13 years ago when we started this program with the funding we had from the state, nobody was interested in doing management. Now we provide between $70,000 and $80,000 a year in grants to lake associations, and I've told this board before, it's not enough. We have more requests than we have funding to do that AIS plant management. And lastly, watercraft inspection and on-site prevention. That tends to be one of the more robust and expensive parts of our program, but we have equipment and staff, and we're out at public accesses during the open water season, looking at watercraft, decontaminating watercraft as they come in and out of our lakes, and also that in-person opportunity to engage with watercraft owners at a public access is another educational opportunity to show them what they need to do to help prevent that spread. So those are the activities, and you can see kind of a breakdown of how we spend those dollars for AIS in what sector of the program. So I don't know if you have any specific questions.
Well, Dave, I just want to comment on that. You know, this idea that we're still studying that signal crayfish, I really think is silly because you can still order them on Amazon, have them delivered to your door, dropped off your doorstep alive, ready to eat. I mean, to chase something like that is foolish. That's just silly. I really mean that. I mean, it's if it's that available where people can have it delivered to their doorstep alive, and we expect that we're supposed to follow something like that.
Yeah, no, I certainly understand, Mr. Chair, the complication that creates for programs like ours. We're not putting forth a tremendous amount of effort. The state and the University of Minnesota has really taken over the lead on that effort, and we're sort of assisting as we can. We just want to make sure that there aren't signal crayfish, a breeding population in there.
I think we've determined that.
Well, yes. So any other questions about our 2024 activities? Awesome. So 2025, the work plan. So we met a month and a half ago with the AIS task force and talked about some things that we want to engage in. As you're aware, we have an overall AIS prevention plan that was put together at the county here and approved by the board. And so each year we go back to that plan. What are the areas? So as you look through the packet, there's goals and strategies. Those goals were established many years ago when the plan was put in place. And then those strategies get updated as needed. And then each year we really look at the activities that we're engaged in to successfully implement those strategies. Again, they fit the different categories. As I mentioned, there's education, there's prevention activities, management, and monitoring. So I'm not going to go through all of these. What I will tell you is, if we go to the last page on the budget, which is what everybody wants to know generally, we are still trying to implement the goals and strategies that we have in the past. However, we recognize that for the past 13 years, we've generally operated with a carryover dollar amount. Some of that gets used from year to year. Some of it needs to be reserved for rapid response to an infestation if it's discovered. But last year, we expended that carryover amount due in no small part to the effort that you authorized for us to at least determine if those signal crayfish were going to be some sort of continued infestation. I'm appreciative that the board allowed us to carry forward some unspent funds from our zoning and replenish that carryover for rapid response and for operation. But this year, we've tried to tighten up the program, both in terms of the activities that we're engaged in, but still trying to provide on-the-ground dollars to lakes and lake associations. So you'll see in there, we've cut back a little bit on our inspection work, our advertising, our promotion, those sorts of things. I've cut back on some of the hours for administration of the program. And then, but we've kept in there the AIS management activities, so the $80,000 that we'd have available to lake associations for aquatic plant management, and to continue to do the monitoring work, the aquatic plant surveys, because I think that's some, as our task force said, we really want to see these dollars spent on the ground. As lake property owners, we want to see some of that come back to us so that we can help protect our lakes. And so we heard that and made sure that that was the case. So what you see in there ultimately in that budget is we're proposing about $279,000 of expenditures. We get $255,000 from the state. And I think all of you are aware, but maybe the public is not, of the governor's budget proposal for the next biennium, that he has proposed to cut our funding in half for AIS programming. So our budget is also in response to what might be coming down from the state. We want to be a little bit more prepared as we roll into next year if in fact that budget is cut in half. So if you don't have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them about our program and what we're doing, or the budget, or any of those items.
Anybody have questions?
I do want to bring up a quick point. So we're also going to be seeking other funding opportunities, and I think Brad Bonk might be sitting behind me back there still. So some of the work that we do, for example, in our promotion and education, the rec map. The rec map costs us about, I think it's about $8,000 a year to print 5,000 copies of that map. We've paid for it with AIS dollars, but it does other promotional things for the county. So we're going to start to reach out to our partners. It may be our Parks Department, because we're identifying where our county parks are and the amenities that they provide, and also to our partner in Horizon Public Health. Can we get some additional funding to help support the continuing of that map? So we're going to try to identify grants and other things to keep some of these programs going, but we're going to have to get creative if we're going to continue some of the promotional and activity items that we're doing. So I just wanted to bring that up.
So Dave, are you saying that there might be scheduled travel to take people from an apartment, some of these apartment complexes, out to Runestone Park? Or is that what you're saying? Not, you wouldn't be involved in that?
Nope, we have nothing to do with that.
All right,
Nope, this is all just AIS prevention.
all right.
Mr. Chair, I think you're right, David. We don't know, though. For 25, we're good.
Yes.
26, which we should know in a couple of months about where the budget of the biennium is going to end up, but we have not overspent. You never have on the AIS stuff, and I think we've done a nice job with education and our accesses and stuff, but anytime we can use any of our partners and vendors especially that can help us, but we should always be looking at that instead of tax dollars if we can. And chances are, I know yesterday at MRC, we had quite a discussion about the reduced, in the great state of 10,000 lakes, why this would be one of the hatchet things is beyond asinine, but whatever. So I think we'll keep an eye on it, would definitely help.
It is a point, and that's really where we're at, is to make some decisions if, in fact, the governor's budget comes to be. The county will have to make some decisions about how we run this program and the services and
Right.
things that we're offering. Are we going to cut those, or are we going to look for other revenue sources? And you mentioned several of them, partnerships, but ultimately maybe tax dollars. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's next year.
Well.
We'll
yeah,
be talking
it's
about it
coming
this
up.
summer when we talk
We need to
about
get-
budgeting, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna find out where the hatchet drops, but.
For sure.
Mr. Chair, David, the other thing is, if we cut back a little bit more this year, we have some more carryover for next year.
And again, absolutely, we're trying to do that because our plan too says that we're supposed to have a rapid response fund.
Right.
In the event that, signal crayfish was interesting. It certainly tested what we're able to do rapidly, but what we're really concerned about more so is things like starry stonewort. If it shows up in a lake, we want to isolate it. We want to be able to treat it as quickly as possible. It's as close as, it's in Minnewaska in the Starbuck Marina, and they've been able to keep it there for the last, 8 years or 7 years or something, so.
So noted.
So I'd be looking for a motion to approve our work plan and budget unless there's further
So
questions.
move. Thank you, Charlie.
I second that.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene?
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
motion carries.
And with that budget approved, we'd like to enter into contract with Blue Water Science to do those plant surveys. This year's contract is a little more for 11 lakes, but they do excellent work and always provide us with a good report, so.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve Blue Water's science contract.
Thank you, Shane.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tim. Any other questions? Lene, please.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
motion carries.
And unless you have questions for me, that is all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicky Doling.
All right, good morning.
Good morning yet. Oh, it just
Afternoon.
worked to noon right now.
What is it?
We're running overtime.
All right, Mr. Chair, I have one resolution for a gambling permit. Leaf Valley Game and Fish Conservation Club is seeking a gambling permit to promote a raffle and pull tabs at Leaf Valley Town Hall on the date of May 2nd, 2025.
Make a motion to approve resolution 25-27 for gambling permit.
25, 27. All right, thank you, Charlie.
Second.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other questions? Lene?
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Vicky. Jill?
I just have one item, just looking for a motion to approve bills totaling $1,114,664.76.
Board's wishes.
Motion to pay the bills.
Thank you, Charlie.
Second.
Thank you, Shane. Any other questions? 1A, please.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
motion carries.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Jill. All right, we have any items from the floor? Seeing none, there won't be any items from the floor. All right, at that time, then we're going to go back into closed session. This meeting will be closed per Minnesota statute 144.581 subdivision 5, Hospital Board Authority to discuss strategic matters.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to move into a closed session.
A
Thank you, Shane.
second.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Jeff. 1A, please.
Schmidt,
Yes.
Kalina,
Yes.
Rapp,
Yes.
Way,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.